I just turned 50 and my wife wanted to do something nice for me. So what did she do? She bought me a Mark 7 Autodrive. I can't wait to get it set up. Let's go. We're gonna need to prep my 750. So first thing we need to do is get rid of the inline fab base. We're gonna have to disconnect a couple of the linkages here, and then we're gonna have to get it set up. One of the things you have to consider with an Autodrive system is your vertical distance that you have. Now, I have it on this inline fab, which is pretty close to the height of the Autodrive, if I remember correctly. But you can see I don't have much room. If I look up here, I got maybe 10 inches, something like that. And I don't really want to give up that distance because I need to be able to dump brass in. So depending on how the Autodrive works distance-wise or height-wise on this bench, I guess it'll dictate whether I have to move that light that's above it. Space, in terms of space, I'm going to have a little bit more real estate that it's going to take up, but that's okay. I've got that set up. And then I have recently done something with my, you can see back here, I've put in a really nice high-end power bar. Some of it's covered up by the sheets there. But now instead of running cords into cords and stuff like that, I have a dedicated 15-foot power cord that runs over to an actual wall plug. So we are getting much better power out of everything and not worrying about, I don't know, having any weird extension cord issues. So let's get this thing unpacked. I will show you what it comes with. I will show you modifying all this. One thing I would recommend is try to take off whatever you can from your 750. Having done this before, I've actually installed them twice. I can just tell you that, you know, it's a pretty simple, all in all, it's a pretty simple process. But when you have a lot of stuff up there, it does get a little top heavy. You obviously don't want pieces swinging around. So I'm going to secure the Mr. Bullet Feeder, definitely. I don't know initially if I'll take off the case feeder or not. It depends on my height requirements. But let's get it unpacked. I will show you what it comes with, and let's have some fun with this. One thing to keep in mind, this does come in its own box, so it's a box in a box. But, you know, this is a dedicated box for shipping the Autodrive. And while I don't keep, well, I shouldn't say that. I'm probably pretty bad. You can see up there, I've got quite a few boxes for things. But this is definitely one of those boxes that I will want to keep. While I don't plan on selling the Autodrive anytime soon, I can promise you that having shipped one before, it is not fun to try to make a box for it. It is a big, gangly unit. It weighs like 65 pounds, and having a dedicated box for it matters. So I will definitely be keeping everything here. You can see they've got like a little checklist, everything that it came with. Everybody signed off on it. But I'm going to get it unpacked here, show you what it has. Well, I wasn't planning on showing this part, but it is interesting because I've only owned used Autodrives before. And it is interesting that there is very little actual foam or protective packaging around the actual Autodrive. You know, it does ship box in a box, so you've got some extra layers of cardboard protection there. But this is kind of interesting. It just has a little, like a little topper that was on top here. But you know, this box here just has, you know, it's a kind of a hollow box. It's got all the parts in it. Otherwise, that's it. So here we go. Here's the pieces. So this is a protective cover that is going to go over the gear system so you don't crush your fingers. This is a filter, inline filter system for the electronics. If you have one of the older Dillon case feeders, there's some potential issues between the Mr. Bullet Feeder and the case feeder with some electrical interference. This helps alleviate that. You've got a Type-C cable. I'm guessing that is for the pad that it comes with, which is right here. I don't know what brand this is offhand, but it's, let's see here. Oh, nice. They went black. Last time they were white. So they've got it all branded. So that's cool. So that's the cover. I always had issues with the original electrical system, the way it, the power system for the monitor, or for the tablet, so we'll see if that's any better now. This is power cord for the actual drive. This is going to be the tablet holder that clamps onto your 750, 650. This is the mounting hardware that is going to replace some of the Dillon stuff. Another power cord. I'll show you where all those plug in. I don't remember there being a need for a USB or a micro USB or micro SD card rather, but maybe there's a reason. And then of course we have the heart of it, which is the actual Autodrive system. These are all the ports if you have different sensors. If you do a lot of heavy loading and do things like they've got a powder sensor, decap sensor, stuff like that, they all plug in through here. Your power, everything that you need. This is going to go into the tablet, and obviously that is where we're going to hook up the Dillon. So let me clear off my Dillon from where it is. I currently have it mounted through my bench, so it's very rigid. You can see I've got it there. I'm going to need to pull that out and slide it out of the way. One of the nice things is whether it's on the Autodrive or on this inline fab thing, believe it or not, if I take this off, it is perfectly balanced so that it won't fall forward or anything. So I can literally take this and just slide it over to the side while I take care of my Autodrive, and then I will work to pull the pieces off as necessary in the back and on the system there. It just makes things a little bit easier. So, all right, here we go. Now that I have the Autodrive in position, basically where I want it, like I said, I can move it around pretty easily because it is not bolted down in any way. Now I just need to pull off these 4 screws. And again, because of the way everything balances on the Dillon, when I take these screws off, I can actually leave the press sitting right there until all 4 screws are off, and then just move it right over and attach it. The only thing that I need to be careful of is I have to go ahead and pull this linkage first. Otherwise, it will get in the way when I try to transfer it over. So a couple little steps to go. You can see I've prepped the machine. We've pulled out the locking pin that goes across. In fact, it's right there. That's just done. There's a screw, a small Allen on the underside. You loosen. In fact, it's right there. It's right there. And then that pin comes out. This one you have to pull, you have to unscrew both of these, pull the assembly off, and then unscrew this piece here so that you can pull off this whole shackle or knuckle or whatever it is. But now this is prepped to fit over here. I just need to cut these zip ties, make sure this is in the right orientation, unscrew those, set it on top, and then it just gets screwed down there. So next steps, here we go. You can see we've pulled the nuts and bolts off everything. This is literally not sitting on anything other than just right there. We're going to pull that off in a second. We've also put the knuckle on here. So there's just a little set screw in the back that we pulled out of the arm right here that we're not going to need now. And what we're going to be doing is putting these. This is going to go over here. And this is going to go into the knuckle right here. So let me do that and I will show you what it looks like when we're done. You can see we've installed the 2 screws that hold this in, or 2 bolts. We've put the bolt through the knuckle that holds the main ram in, and everything else is secure. Obviously make sure that when you put in your bolts that you put your box holder for when you dispense rounds or brass. Otherwise, everything's good. One thing to note, when you're installing the knuckle, you may need to manually raise the ram just so that you can get this in position, but it's really easy. Once in a while, they say that you have to adjust. There's 2, I think they're hard to see now, but oh, there they are. So those 2 screws can change the orientation on the main shaft of where this goes. On occasion, they say you have to loosen those up. The couple times I've done this, I've never had to do it, but just so you know that it's a possibility. At this point, I just need to get everything plugged in, so that's going to take a couple minutes, and then we will get this fired up and get her rolling. Oh, I guess I need to put the tablet on and stuff, so let me put that screen on and show you what that looks like. Here it is, all set up. I've got the Mr. Bullet Feeder back in position. I've got everything wired up. You can see there's a number of plugs. There's only one main plug that goes out to get plugged in, but you have to plug between the brain and the motor system, and then you have to get up to the tablet here. And then I have this set to auto rotate upside down so that I can run my plugs on the underside. That way the cords aren't bending. And, you know, the clamp goes over here. So it's all set. So let me show you. When you turn this on, it just has to get fired up here. Every time you turn it on, you have to calibrate it. And that's just going to set its limits. And it's, you know, I'll cover this in another video when I do some setup stuff, but what's really important is you have to make sure you calibrate it every time, because one, the machine doesn't really work unless you calibrate it. You can kind of trick it around the calibration, but it's not good to do. It's a really easy way to break things. But once you calibrate it, then when you set your dies, you know that it's going to go up and down to the same positions every time, as long as you're using it on a calibrated system. So that is setting up the Mark 7. Overall, pretty simple process. Like I said, I've done it a couple times, but that still doesn't, you know, honestly, anybody can do it pretty quickly. And that's it. So if you've been looking at putting together a Mark 7 of some kind or putting an Autodrive on, those are the steps. That's all you need. I'll do some more videos in the future. And again, can't thank my wife enough. This was a great birthday present. So I guess you only turn 50 once, right? There we go. So you guys have a good one. We'll talk later.